Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. So as we all know here, Jahlil Okafor is no longer, or never really was, part of the process of the Philadelphia 76ers. Besides for his rookie season where he had a pretty good campaign there, he has not really done much since. He's just really a good center. He's a good center, everything, just stuck in the wrong era of basketball. He's more of a traditional back to the basket type of player, a guy that can only score around the rim, does not really have much of a mid-range or a three-point game, although we can say straight up that players have been known to extend their range later in their career, so that's still something Jahlil can work on. Not a great defensive player by any stretch of the imagination, and we all know Joel Embiid is the center of the future on the 76ers, so Jahlil has requested to be bought out or traded from the team. I'm going to give you guys 5 fits that I think would be decent for Jahlil Okafor in the NBA. Now, there's other teams you could probably make cases for, but these are 5 that kind of came to my mind here. I want your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Also, man, we trying to take over this NBA YouTube stuff, man, so be sure to drop a like on this video, man. 1,000 likes for Crispy Flakes. Be greatly appreciated, my friend. So here we go. The number 1 I have is the Phoenix Suns. Now, the reason I'm saying the Phoenix Suns is because they got the Devin Booker, they got the Josh Jackson. They just really do not have their big man of the future. And I feel like Eric Bledsoe's trade value is so far down right now that it just, if they could get a guy like Jahlil Okafor, who is a young center out there and a promising player under the right system, I do feel like that's a pretty good bargain to get back for a guy that doesn't even want to be on your team. Maybe Philadelphia would be willing to part with a first round or second round draft pick to make that happen. I'm not quite sure they would because of Eric Bledsoe's scenario, but still, man, Jahlil on that team makes sense. Plus, you got Eric Bledsoe, who goes to the 76ers. It gives them a veteran point guard to really teach Markelle Fultz the way of, well, really the way of the NBA. But at the same time, JJ Redick is only on a 1-year deal anyway. So next season, you could realistically have a backcourt of Eric Bledsoe, a good veteran point guard, and Markelle Fultz at the shooting guard position, but either of those guys can handle the basketball. I think it would make for some interesting basketball for the 76ers, and both teams I think in the end will do win. For my next team here, I have the Boston Celtics. So the Boston Celtics are obviously in win now mode. They got Kyrie Irving and everything like that, and for this to work though, the Jahlil Okafor would definitely need to settle for a bench role. I mean, I don't know if he wants to do that right now, but he might have to do it anyway until he can prove himself in the NBA that he can really be that player that he was drafted at, back in the whatever year. It was only a few years ago, wasn't it, at this point? But yeah, for the Boston Celtics, they would get a nice scoring big man off the bench. I mean, you would not really be able to play him alongside Al Horford because both guys are not great at defense or rebounding quite yet. I mean, Al Horford, he is who he is. Jahlil still has promise and everything. But I don't know, man. I feel like that would just be a game changer to have such a good offensive big man off the bench, and you could put him into certain scenarios, certain roles, and certain lineups that would kind of maybe hide the fact that he's not the greatest defender. And like I was saying, man, like the Boston Celtics are already in win-now mode anyway, so to get a good center like that, it just makes sense, man, to really strengthen the bench against some of the teams like, the Cleveland Cavaliers out in the Eastern Conference. And like I said, they could do it for the right price. They probably don't got to give like too much to do it. I really don't know like what a good player would be that they would give up in that case. But somebody would have to go, obviously. For the next team that I really think would be interesting, and that is the Brooklyn Nets. The reason I say this is because I would love to see what Jahlil Okafor could do on a team that's just not very good anyway, man, because he would get the minutes on this team, but at the same time, him and D'Angelo Russell, like, that would be a nice little pick and roll combo right there, man. Like, I would love to see those guys just play together just because, of course, Jahlil in the pick and roll game would be nice because he's so good around the basket, but also D'Angelo Russell's passing abilities and playmaking abilities and really just ability to shoot off the dribble and everything like that. It would open up a lot of scoring opportunities for Jahlil Okafor. Plus, right now, all they have is who? Bitch-ass Mozgov, right, man? So it's like, they definitely are not taking an L with that. But not only that, it also makes sense because, of course, all their draft picks have been going to like the Boston Celtics and now the Cleveland Cavaliers for the past few seasons and the next draft. So what they did is they went out and they got themselves D'Angelo Russell, who was a lottery pick. I mean, he was a top pick in the draft. So in this case, you still get another top pick from a former draft where you didn't have a draft pick anyway. So, I mean, it still allows you to get top players and kind of make up for that horrible Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce trade you made, a few seasons ago. The next team I have is the New York Knicks. Guys, it would be so crazy offensively to have a front court of Jahlil Okafor kind of being around the basket area, doing this thing, man, little hook shots out there, little back to the basket, and having Chris God, I almost call him Chris Cod. He ain't no fish, man. He's a goat. Kristaps Porzingis out there doing his thing on the arc. And really, Kristaps being 7'3" out there, I think it would definitely help mask some of the liabilities on defense of Jahlil Okafor. But I don't know, man. I just feel like that would be such a interesting duo to watch together offensively. Defensively, like I said, man, no matter what, Jahlil is going to suffer at the center position. So there's just not much more you can say about that. But I don't know, man. Just like the New York Knicks, they're not like absolutely fantastic. And Kristaps is not really on his max contract yet. Tim Hardaway's getting so much money, so it's like they are kind of locked up with cap space. I mean, they're still paying Joakim Noah and all that out there. So it's like if they can get him for a pretty good deal, they're getting a good young player, offensively gifted, for a little, for a little price out there. So it kind of makes up for that contract with Tim Hardaway and some of those other bad contracts they have out there if it works out. If not, it's not going to cost that much money, man. And for the final one right here, this one's kind of a push, man. This one is kind of like the rich getting richer out here. But that's the Golden State Warriors. Because who is the Golden State Warriors? Yeah, they got JaVale McGee. He's a beast and everything. They got freaking Zaza, ankle breaker, Pachulia, man. It's like you were not really taking that much of a step back to get Jahlil Okafor over Zaza. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, offensively, yeah, Jahlil has what Zaza doesn't have. He's got that offensive giftedness. Zaza is a bit more of a tougher player out there defensively. I mean, it's not like a crazy rebounder or a crazy shot blocker. Probably a little bit better than Jahlil, but not much. So I just feel like it gives the Golden State Warriors another offensive player out there. And plus, the Golden State Warriors are so good at defense, from having one of the best two-way guards in the NBA and Klay Thompson. You got Draymond Green playing defense out there. You got Kevin Durant with his 7-foot length out there. It definitely would help with a guy like Jahlil Okafor, who's not good at defense. So that one, I don't think it would happen, but if it did, it definitely would be very interesting to watch. And of course, all these teams would need to work out some sort of trade package to make this happen. It's just not going to be too expensive out there just because of the situation of him anyway. And chances are, man, if he gets bought out, then teams might just wait till there. It's like, why go out here and trade one of our assets away when Jahlil might just get bought anyway, guys? But anyway, man, I just want your guys' opinions on this in the comment section below. What do you think about Jahlil Okafor? What do you think about the best team for him to go to would be? And thank you guys all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends.